Hey guys, welcome to my first live. Today we're going to be going over straight punches in boxing. So we're going to start out with a jab. And now what I want you to do is focus on your footwork. So let's start out with our stance, 1 foot forward, 1 foot slightly out. I like to use a line on the floor. This way the line is right in between my feet. So my toes not touching the line, my heel's not touching the line. This way I have a good steady stance. My hands up, elbows down, and chin down. Now, if my hands are up and my chin's up, you can see how my elbows are high, leaving my body exposed. So if I tuck my chin and look out the top of my eyes to here, now we're in a good stance. Don't lean forward, stay back. I like to say like 55% of your weight back on your back leg. So starting out here. Now, to start with the jab, our lead hand is going to be shooting straight out. So straight out like this. Now at the end of the jab, we need to rotate that thumb so our palm comes down. This is also going to get our chin up, or our shoulder up to cover our chin. So again, straight out, rotate down, cover our chin with this shoulder, and keep our right hand high, covering the chin on the other side. Now, you're not going to be able to generate any type of power at all if you just stand still and keep a solid base and just throw a straight punch out like this. What we need to do to generate power with your jab is to shift your body weight into it. So we do that by pushing off your back foot. So in your stance, hands up, elbows down, I'm going to push off my back foot and transfer weight into my front foot. So that could be a slight step forward, or it could just be transferring my weight. This is what's going to add some power and a little bit of oomph behind our jab. So hands up, keeping this hand by our head at guard. I'm going to push off my back foot, transfer weight, boom, rotate down, and then I'll bring it back as fast as I can. You want to think about like how fast it would be if you're snapping a towel out. That like quick snap with precision. Forgive me, this is my first time doing this, so I can't really I'm not really sure where to look at to see if anybody has any questions or any comments. But so far, hands up, elbows down, transferring our weight into the front foot. Jab, just like, oh, there we go, there's a comment. Oh, what's up? Good seeing you, man. Nice to see you. So again, jab just like this. Now, common mistakes that we're going to talk about for the jab is as you throw this jab and extend out, this backhand drops. All right, so jab like that, my backhand drops. We don't want to be doing that. We want to make sure that we keep our hand high. Our second common mistake is leaning too far forward. So instead of pushing off the back foot and bringing your whole body with you, pushing off your back foot and leaning forward. So we don't want to be jabbing like this. As I start to lean forward, I put my head in a more compromising position. The person, whoever I'm in front of, is going to be able to, I'm going to be in their range, right? If I stay back, now I'm at my range. And then the third common mistake with the jab is when you land that jab, dropping it and then bringing it back up to guard. So as you throw the jab and land it, dropping it and letting it come back. So, right, we want to take straight out, rotate that palm down, and bring it right back. All right, now for our straight right. Our straight right it's our long power shot, right? So it's how you can generate power but still stay at distance and land a straight shot. Any of our other power shots are going to have bent elbows for like hooks or uppercuts that are going to be in a closer range than a straight right. So for our right, in our stance with our hands up, all the power here is generated from our back half. So Some people say pivot, some people don't like to pivot. I always start off beginners with pivoting, and then later on to really generate power. And if you're in close, you're going to stay planted and more firm. But so to start out with a straight right, if we throw it without pivoting, it's coming out at an angle. So if I'm facing you, it's coming out at an angle here. So what we need to do is take and rotate and turn our torso forward as we throw that straight right. Keeping the elbow down, tucked, and defending, just like that. So from the side, to throw that straight right, you extend, cover your chin right here. If you don't cover your chin, if you don't extend all the way and you throw that straight right out, most of the time you're not going to be covering your chin. If you throw it all the way, that shoulder comes right to your chin to guard. So again, right here, from forward, just like that. Now, some common mistakes we have with the straight right is going to be kind of the same as the jab, but a little different. So with the straight right, as I'm throwing my straight right, the most common mistake is dropping this lead hand. So throwing that here, dropping the lead hand, leaving yourself open for a hook. So you want to make sure that as you throw that straight right, you keep your hand up. A lot of times people like to have their hands away from their face, doing their own thing. People sometimes they have their flow. Like if you watch pro fighters, they kind of move their hands, so they're not all tight and shelled up like this. So if your hands are out and you go to throw your straight right and they're not real tight, what I want you to do is yank this hand to guard as you throw your straight right. So you're here, pawing around, moving your lead hand, using it as a tool, not just a jab. And then you go to throw your straight right, rip this to guard. Bang! Just as much of the punch coming from back here, I want you to focus just as much on the punch coming from back here as pulling this side back into guard. Like that. Now, another common mistake is throwing, like I mentioned it earlier, so throwing that straight right out, but not all the way. You throw it out, you don't rotate all the way and finish your punch and get all the way at the end of the punch to cover your chin, you're leaving your chin exposed. And we don't want to do that. Right, so we don't want to be here punching down, staying loose. We want to get all the way to the end of our punch and cover up our chin. And then the third mistake with the straight right is just leaning forward, just like the jab. So instead of staying back in my stance, as I throw my right, leaning forward. Don't lean forward, stay back in your stance and rotate to cause that power, or to create that power. Is that making sense so far? Does anybody have any questions at all yet? Straight punches, jab, straight right. These punches are essential in boxing. They're the most important 2 punches in boxing. It's all about hitting and not getting hit, right? So straight punches being longer, it's definitely going to be more beneficial to stay at your range instead of in tight where you're more exposed. Does that make sense? I actually just went over the jab. I'll do it again though. So as far as the jab goes, get in a stance. We want your 1 foot forward and then your back foot slightly out. I like to say enough room to have a line in between your feet where your toe and your heel are touching. Sitting back in your stance, pressure on the balls of your feet. So like you should be able to slide a piece of paper under your back shoe, but not like a piece of cardboard, right? Just slight pressure on the balls of your feet, heel slightly lifted. Now from here, hands at guard, and you're shooting your lead hand out straight. So straight out this way like this, keeping my elbow tight, and then now as I get toward the end of the punch, I'm going to rotate my palm down. Now as I rotate my palm down, watch what happens to my shoulder with my chin. I'm all the way out and rotate my palm down. So if I go all the way out here, chin still exposed, if I rotate my palm down, I cover up my chin. Another thing you don't want to just jab standing stationary. We want to transfer our weight. So push off the back foot and transfer your weight into the jab. So that was a quick tutorial for the jab and the cross. Now we're going to walk. I'm going to rotate the camera. I'm going to show a little bit of bag work. I'm going to show a couple drills. So very beginner drills for straight punches. Go. All right, now I'll just walk through the whole tutorial again real quick. So for a jab, hands up, in your stance, elbows down, pushing off my back foot, transferring the weight, snapping that shot back. Bring that lead hand right back to guard. And then for the right, hands at guard, in a good stance. I'm going to rotate, keep my elbows tight, turn my palm down at the end, and bring it right back to guard. Now for our drills, we're going to start out with a 1-1-2. So our 1-1-2, 2 jabs, 1 cross. For this, I like to angle to the outside of the bag, transfer my weight into 2 jabs, so push off my back foot twice, so 1, 1, and then rotate 2. So what we're doing is getting the guard up, bang, bang, and then as we're stepping to the side, trying to feed in between the guard. Sorry, 1-1-2. Quick, easy 1-1-2 drill that you can do on the bag, help you move around a little bit and try to time that and angle that cross right in between the guards. So 1, 1, 2. Now our second straight combo, beginner combo, is going to be 1-2-2. So for our 1-2-2, we don't ever want to throw a double 2 without coming back to guard. So I don't want to go 1, 2, 2. We don't want to just stay out here and tap and lose our power. We want to bring this back to guard, to here, and then come back. Does that make sense? Does anybody have any questions? I want to leave just a couple minutes left for any questions that people might have before I wrap up. Again, we went over straight punches, covering our 1s and 2s, and then some common practices, some common mistakes, and a couple beginner drills. 1-1-2. 1-2-2. Anybody on got any questions? Again, it's my first live. This whole interactive thing, not really used to it yet. So if anybody has any questions, join on, make it a little easier for me. Ask me something. All right, guys, thanks for coming out. Beginner tutorial for 1s and 2s. Straight punches, proper form, common mistakes, a couple drills. Again, anybody got any questions? Anybody want to leave with anything? Any advice for beginners? So that's really broad. I would say the best advice is to work on your stance, iron out your stance, and then once you get your stance down and moving within your stance, then start with straight punches. The 2 straight punches are going to be the most 2 important shots that you can learn, and they're going to keep you at a good safe distance. Is that kind of what you're looking for, or did you have something a little more specific type of advice for beginners? All right, looks like a handful of people jumped back on, so I'll go through the tutorial one more time. All right, we got straight punches, so working on our jab to start with. In a good stance, hands up, elbows down. We want to be back in our stance. We don't want to be leaning forward, so good in your stance like this, elbows down. Now, keeping this right hand glued to my face. As I throw my jab, I'm extending, I'm rotating, turning my body, I'm extending out, and then thumb down like this. That's going to cover my chin, and then snap it right back to guard. And then now again for the straight right, hands up, elbows down, in a good solid stance. I'm going to keeping my torso back, again not leaning forward, rotate my body, keeping my hand at guard, and as I rotate the thumb down, cover my chin. Now I know some people say rotate your feet, some people don't. What I want you to do is, starting out as a beginner, rotate your feet. Also, it's a little better to rotate your feet when you're at distance. When you're in closer, it's better to stay planted and keep everything and keep the power on the ground and transferring up. All right, guys, thanks for coming out. I should be doing this again in another week or so. Looking forward to seeing you guys. Thanks.